Thank you so much for joining for our closing plenary. We are so delighted to have gone deep into National Year of Reading, into early childhood and the home learning environment, and into jobs for tomorrow, really at that intersection of young people not in education, employment, and training, but also, holy moly, what are the skills that we need to ensure that young people have so that they are equipped for what the future of work looks like? And frankly, we are too. What we want to do now is give us a chance to digest that all. And so we are going to channel Vanessa, and her opening for us, she said, and I want to be real. I want us to visualize the faces of the children and the young people that we are working for and with. And she had us hold those faces close to our hearts. And what I want us to do right now is channel those faces again. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes for a moment and to think about the children and young people whose lives you are working to shift. The children and young people that you dedicate your career to, your vocation to, sometimes sacrificing elements of your own life, your own leadership, to ensure that their outcomes can be improved. And I want you to think about what's the future that you want for them. What does that ideal world look like where they are thriving? And just take a few moments to breathe that in, to let it settle. And think about the gravity that you have as a leader, the power that you have for making that real. When you've finished, you're going to open your eyes, and that's what we need to have at the center as we think about our next steps together, because it is the children and young people who not only are the ones that we're fighting for a fairer future for, but we want to fight to make sure that they're part of this change too. So we've had so many thoughts over the course of the day, and we've created a lot of space. We've heard that from you. A lot of space for dialogue over the course of the day. But there's still quite a lot of content from starting the day earlier on, being provoked about our mental models and hearing from different panelists about how we should think about our own mental models and how we can stick our necks out, but also about how we can use our collective voice to shift those public mental models that hold inequity in place. We've talked about how we're using collective action, place-based as well as thematic, to tackle those entrenched inequities with a systems change framework. And I'm sure we're all thinking, what's our role in that? How do we actually take action? And how hard is it to collaborate? But also, how can we make that a lot easier? So I want to give the opportunity right now to capture our commitments. So we're not leaving today with Jen going back to our daily lives, but actually thinking, how will I take action on what I've had the opportunity, and I hope a real privilege, to be amongst peers that can energize us during this time. So I'm going to ask you to scan the QR code, and on that you can see 3 questions. It's about what's your individual commitment, what's your organizational commitment, and what's your commitment for us as an alliance and your part in that. And so one commitment for each. These will not be shared publicly, but the great thing about this platform is that they will be shared with us, so anything you don't want us to read, don't submit it here. And what we can do with that is we can also work with you, we can group them, and we can see where there's common commitments to then be able to take action together. And so I'm going to put on a little jam right now and give 2 to 3 minutes for you to put these in so that we can really foster the power to come out of today. So I'll let you do that, and if you need to come closer to do a QR code, do, or there's also one in the back if you need to access that. Great, we'll put on some music. Welcome back. Hopefully a really nice time to capture a lot of the learnings. I would love to take this opportunity to hear from a few people because, like we talked about this morning, sharing this isn't only beneficial for us to be able to process and synthesize some of what we are thinking, but also for all of us as a group. It can really help to foster new ideas and spark what others are doing to help our own self. So can I have somebody tell us what their individual, starting with self, commitment is as a result of coming today? If I can have you raise your hand, we'll come to you with a mic. So volunteers to share what your commitment for yourself as an individual is. Great, we've got here in the front row. Thank you. We'll just bring you this right now. Thank you. And can you introduce yourself first, please?
Thank you. I'm Pamela, and I am committing to say what I think. I think so often we're in spaces where we actually need to be really brave, and often we self-censor and we edit to make our message more palatable. And that came across in several conversations this morning. And it really resonated with me, and I just think actually if we're trying to make big change, then we need to go big and be bold. And so that's my individual commitment today.
Thank you so much, Pamela. I think that resonates with a lot of us, myself included, about that need to be bolder. We shouldn't self-censor. Let anybody else censor us, but we should not be self-censoring. So I think that's a really big one. We have big change to make, and it's not going to happen in the margins like somebody said in our breakout. Great. Can I get somebody to share as an organization? What is your commitment as an organization to this? Over here. Gorgeous. We've got Salon in the front row.
Hello. Oh, it is loud. Yeah, Salon Football Beyond Borders. Organisationally, one thing from the mental models session, we talk a lot about the power of trusted adult relationships for young people, long-term intensive relational support. So really thinking about the support that the adult needs, particularly, to be and the conditions the adult needs to work in order to provide that relationship. And what we're finding often in the system is like relationships and can sometimes feel like it equals mentoring programs, right? And we're trying to kind of shift that mindset in the sector at the moment. And one thing that I think organisationally we can do is create a beautiful film that really draws on the kind of moves hearts and minds towards the power of relationships for young people, that taps into kind of, the emotive reasons that we might think about trusted adults rather than the sort of cognitive or policy or data-led approaches. So I am going to commit to working with our brand team to really think about what that piece of storytelling is, and then how do we get it to the right people, when do we release it. So look out for something in 2026.
Look out and also connect with you. Thank you, Salon. I think a huge one, and I think some of the talk around funders earlier was around some of those constraints around programmatic funding, and I think the invitation as well is that does take work, and I know we at the FEA have seen that as well for some of the storytelling and campaigning work. So I think an invitation to support all of our members with that, considering how important it really is. And if you already are, then let's hear about it, let's scale it, let's use those case studies to be able to bring more into that work as well. Thank you. So let's hear from somebody on a collective. What is your commitment to this collective, to this as a group and how we go forward? So can I get a volunteer to close us out, please? We've got somebody over there. We've got, blue, Amy, I think it is. Thanks.
So we've already established the literacy link and are thrilled that the Fair Education Alliance has swept that up very capably. So I suppose my commitment is to keep that going and to be brave enough within that forum to encourage us all, as we already do, to challenge our thinking, to move that forward with the best intentions for the children we support.
Right, taking advantage. Thank you, Amy. We've got a brilliant one. Saradia, can I just ask you to come to the person at the front table just as a last one, because they had their hand up too.
Hiya, good evening everyone. My name is Aziz Minor. I've co-founded a company called 2 to 3 Degrees, so we do a lot of personal development for young people. And my commitment to this collective is to show up. I've been a member for a number of years, and I often just come to the summit because day to day just gets so busy. But every time I come here, like, I leave with a sense of hope and a sense of interest in collaboration and ways that I can connect with people. And so yeah, it's so easy oftentimes just to like pass it in the inbox, but I'm going to show up.
Woo, thanks, Aziz. And it's so needed, and hopefully you've seen that actually we've taken that to heart. A lot of what you've said in the strategy refresh consultations and survey was, we want to show up if others show up. And actually we'll show up with others who are showing up. And I think that's about holding each other to account, that we need to be strong in numbers, but we also need to be really strict about who is going to take part in this, and it's those who are going to. So we're delighted that that's what's happening. And this is our offer. So these are our commitments to you. You will have received this in the strategy launch in September. But just to reiterate, 4 different ways. The first, engage your staff. So organizationally, I hope that you leave here from today telling all of your team members that I was at the Fair Education Alliance Summit. This is what they do. This is how you can get involved. This is why we're a member. And so absolutely critical. Hear from us. Have us come to one of your team meetings or one of your offsites. We know that hearing from us or others is going to help it land. But also have them connect to the bulletin. I know it does just go into the inbox, but that has all of the different ways to engage and can be really helpful, especially as you're thinking about learning and development opportunities, capacity building within your organization. So make sure you keep eyes out for that. Then our 3 strands. You know this because we've talked about it earlier, but to reiterate, we've got those connections with policymakers. We've got the contributions to the open letters and joint submissions. We've got the bringing you to roundtables to show your work and share those case studies, in particular where there are collectives going. So please do participate, and we really want to broker those opportunities for you, your young people, into the press, media. So that is how we can support. Collective action. We want you to take part in a thematic collaboration or a place-based. And if you have any challenges with that, let us know. But we have mapped it out that all of our members will fit within a thematic or a place. And so we're inviting you to say, let's do things differently. Let's work on systems change in ways that haven't been done because we know it's needed. And of course, coming to our annual summit. And finally, our offer under collective strength. 39% of you said that this was one of your priorities, which is why we have strengthened this offer to ensure that we can meet so many of your needs. So we have those new leadership programs for staff and trustees at every level. We've got our working groups training and different peer mentoring and shadowing opportunities. We have our ecosystem map, so you can access where everyone is working and be able to use our directory to join up with one another. And we have our Youth Summit, which is happening on the 17th of February, and we're really excited. So if you want any of the young people that you work with to be there and meet policymakers, then please do get in touch with Becca or Ellie from the youth team, and they can make sure your young people get those invitations. So that's our offer. Quite a lot from a small secretariat, and I hope you feel really valued because we know that together we're going to make the change and want to make sure that we've got the power behind us to do that. What that means is that we have said that we need a minimum contribution from our members, and we will be asking you to sign, your senior leaders, to sign this on an annual basis going forward, because we have decided not to charge a membership fee for any of our members. This was one of the recommendations from a few of the members doing it, but we also heard about a lot of the sustainability challenges for a lot of the charities right now. So we've made the decision not to do that at this point in time, but to say the power is in the time. The power is in what you give to the collective. And so here are the membership commitments that we'll be asking you to recommit to on an annual cycle, because we know that we can only achieve change if we're doing it together. So that brings us to the close of our offer. What this means is there's only one more thing to do, which is that in your inboxes, you don't have to do this now, don't worry. There's no groaning needed. On the train home, you can have a look at this, but in your inboxes, you have our survey. For any of you who have been to our events before, you know that your feedback is taken to heart. Rachel, my colleague's feedback to me was that the member survey, she said she'd never known a CEO to not read the summary but demand that she got every single answer from every single member to read through it. We take this to heart. We want to know what you've said so we can consistently and constantly improve. So please let us know how your experience at the summit was. What went well? What would you like to see differently in the future? Because we will make sure that we are acting on your behalf to serve you as our members. So that properly brings us to a close of anything that I have to say about the summit. But there's a few very important things, one of which is our keynote for this afternoon, is Stephen Twigg. Stephen joined our board of trustees in April of this year, and we were absolutely delighted. Stephen actually played a role in the initial founding of the Alliance, providing some guidance in 2012, 2013, 2014, as we were just 25 organizations coming together about what can we do as a collective, and utilizing the insights from Stephen to help shape what that could look like. And we were so delighted that a decade later, it was his turn to come on as a trustee, utilizing his experience as the former Minister for Schools, as the chair of the Dorset Education Board at a regional level, and also has played such a critical role in other movements such as the London Challenge. So we are delighted to have Stephen's expertise and have him close us out on this beautiful summit. So Stephen, welcome and thank you.
Gina, thank you very much indeed. I think in years of giving speeches, it's the first time I've ever been asked what song I would like to be played as I came up to speak. And I was just joking that I think I spent longer deciding on my song choice than on what I was actually going to say. But it's very much in the great spirit of the Fair Education Alliance. And I'm grateful to you, Gina, for that very generous introduction just now. And to say that it was a great privilege for me to be asked to join the Board of Trustees. So this is a movement, really. I was going to say organisation, a movement with an amazing sense of energy and shared purpose, which I think has really shone through today. All of us, I guess by definition, share a passion about education and the difference it can make to achieving social justice. And something I've said before, for me personally, my own commitment and passion about education and social justice came in large part from my parents, and particularly from my mum, who was a working class woman from the East End of London who'd done well at school but had to leave school aged 15 because that was what her parents expected of her as a working class girl at that time. And she frankly resented that throughout her life, but she channeled that resentment into really supporting me and my sister to thrive at school and to see education as something incredibly important in our own lives. As Gina said, I was previously a Member of Parliament. I served both in Enfield in North London and then in West Derby in the great city of Liverpool. Two very different constituencies with different contexts, socially, economically, and geographically, but both, in my experience, absolutely united by a determination to improve life chances through education. And when I was a minister, I was very proud to work here in London with schools, with local authorities and communities, with parents, children and young people and others to create the London Challenge, and in Liverpool to chair the School Improvement Board for the North West and West Yorkshire, and now to chair education boards in Dorset and in the London Borough of Enfield. And some of the key lessons that I've learned from that experience are ones really that this organisation embodies, and today's discussion demonstrates more powerfully really than my words here in closing can, that local knowledge and collaborative leadership combined are what makes the greatest difference. Progress is critical, but is rarely instant, and that there are several vital ingredients of success that include culture change, policy work, and building partnerships. And I think as we move forward, very much reflecting how the discussions have been conducted here today, I think it is vital that we are listening to each other, that we are listening to young people themselves, and look forward to the Youth Summit in the new year, that we are listening to the wider local communities and parents in order to ensure that we really get these things right in the months and years ahead. This summit reminds us of our shared commitment across sectors, all of us focused on how we move from neighbourhood to national. And it's great to hear this afternoon in particular about the work that's going on and the plans in the West Midlands, in South Yorkshire and in the Liverpool City region, learning from the work of those authorities, of course, but also of the FEA members in those areas and the wider communities that they serve. And all of them having some key characteristics of being practical, strategic, and above all, driven by people who believe that every child should have the opportunity to thrive. So thank you, everyone, for your participation here today. And let us again take the opportunity to affirm our shared commitment to fair education for all. Thank you.